Your Excellencies, dear colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to speak before such a highly distinguished audience, to speak from Kiev and to speak at such an important day, because exactly today the world marks the International Day of Peace, and exactly today the world peace is being challenged so dramatically. A country that were commissioned by all of us to serve in the interest of peace is doing exactly the opposite. It serves in the interest of war. I'm speaking about Russia, and more precisely, I'm speaking about Putin. There is no any worse than threat to the world peace than Russia under Putin. And there is no better time and place to save the world than today and in Ukraine. My dear friends, I bet none of you present here missed a chance to hear the latest speech of Putin. A speech in where he declared a partial mobilization in Russia. A speech in where he expressed his will to recognize the sham referendums in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. Not least, I believe, that none of you have doubts about the true aim of Putin. He tries to double down on his wild war against Ukraine and the world. He fingers to the collective West in his blind rage and out of despair. He blames everybody around the globe in Russia's trouble and total isolation. But he never blames himself. He claims that it was the collective West who conspired to attack Russia, but it was Russia who attacks its neighbors instead, and did so repeatedly in Moldova, in Georgia, and now in Ukraine. Who knows which country he might invade next time? Baltic, Poland, Sweden, or maybe northern territories of Japan or Alaska in the United States? Russia doesn't know living in peace with its neighbor, and it is always in the search of another war. He claims that it was NATO who encroached to Russian borders. But let me remind you that in the year 2014, when Ukraine experienced for the first aggressive attack from Russia, my country was neutral by law. And now it is our free choice to seek shelter away from Russia instead. And the full-fledged invasion that Putin started on the 24th of February made this choice even more obvious. No country would ever feel itself safe and secure in the Russian orbit. And the only thing Russia knows to grant the country is enslavement, colonization, and devastation. And it was Putin who openly declared the genocidal goal of this war against Ukraine. And we know it from the Soviet time and seek no repetition for ourselves. He claimed that the world aims to destroy Russia and to tear it apart. But it is a Putin, in fact, who does the worst service to his country, not the world. His rule and itch of imperialism dragged to entire Russia into abuse. His obsession to renew the Soviet Union second edition is so profound that he is ready to risk everything, even the world, to reach his absolutely crazy goal. To make it happen, Russia will keep blackmailing the world. It will be crying about its readiness for nuclear strike, despite the fact that none of around the globe threaten Russia more than it threatens itself. Unimaginable. Putin threatened the world with the nukes for that Ukraine is struggling for its sovereignty and territorial integrity. It will scare the world with a global starvation, although the only stumbling block for Ukraine's grain export to the region in need is Russia itself. It will frighten Europe with a total freezing this winter if without Russian energy, although it is the only Russia to blame itself for losing the game. The less world fears the Russian blackmail, the sooner the war will be over, and Ukraine is a key for this road. There is no better way to save the world than helping Ukraine right now. What do we need to win this war? Just 5 things. First, we need more weapons. More weapons is never enough. Could you imagine that 100 jet fighter, 300 MLRS, 500 tanks or 1,000 howitzer, 1,000 drone and 2,000 armored vehicle could stop the war? No more fears. Today Putin and his Minister of Defense recognize that it is NATO and the collective West who oppose Russia in this war. Second, we need more sanction against Russia, especially after yesterday's statement. Putin's address leaves no choice but to increase the economic pressure. And if it is no right time for total embargo on energy resources, on all trade from Russia, then when is the right time? Cutting off the world reliance on Russian energy resources was an option. So that was until today. But as for now, it is not an option any longer. It is must if we want to live in peace. Third, it is a time for global anti-Putin coalition. Time to switch to officialization of Ramstein meeting into coalition. It is not only Russia that needs deputinization, the world needs deputinization. The fourth, we need more support for Ukraine. The war is waged by Russia in the both military and ideological one. And this is the war between two visions, between democracy and autocracy. If Ukraine wins, democracy will win. Not only in our region, but wider. For that to happen, not only we need winning the war, we need to rebuild our economy, industry, support the people with the cost of living. And I call it Marshall Plan 2nd edition for Ukraine. And the fifth, Ukraine shall join both EU and NATO. No other security guarantee would equal to gain this game. And if we want a long-lasting peace, security and stability for all, we shall start with the peace, security and stability for Ukraine first. It comes only with Ukraine becoming a member state for both EU and NATO. And the last but not least, I find it symbolic that our today's conference is being held in the context of the UNGA general debates. Great is that Ukraine stays so high in the global agenda. The reason is simple. The future of global security is decided in our land. And to make the world a safer place, I believe that it is important to take up the UNCS reform more actively. A country that is a part of the conflict, and Putin recognized that yet again just today, has simply no right to be the part of the decision. And we shall enforce this rule and deprive Russia of its veto in UNSC. No more fear before Russia. It has neither moral right for military and economic strength. And this is my last point. It's closely connected with the need to end Russia's impunity for all its crimes committed in Ukraine and beyond. Because this impunity endangers our and your security. If we will really want to address Russian crisis we are currently facing, we need a special tribunal for the crime of aggression committed against Ukraine. Bringing Putin and his close circle to account will make our world secure and will stop spread of violence. Dear ladies and gentlemen, skeptics still to avoid sharp corners, but they always join the winner. And today the winner is Ukraine, shouldered by the collective West. Ukraine counteroffensive of early days of September showed that everything is possible exactly as we have in the year 2014 when we released 2/3 of the occupied Donbass. We can gain our land back and push Russians from Ukraine. We can defuse Russian imperialism and return peace on our land and in our lives. 8,000 square kilometers liberated so far speak for itself. Russia did not retreat. They ran from Ukraine's occupied land. And today Putin's address confirmed it distinctively. Russia is running short on everything, from manpower to military assets. its military machine and collapsing in Ukraine, half a step away from the victory, the world has no right to follow. Don't be afraid of Putin, not today, nor in future. And helping Ukraine already, now, is your surest investment in your own peace, security and stability for years to come. Help Ukraine to save the world, and do it now. And thank you for your attention.